Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Hustle, the podcast where we help you improve your English while learning valuable life lessons. I'm your host, Alex. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a very important topic: building self-confidence. Whether you're learning English or just looking to boost your confidence in general, this episode is for you. Joining me today is my wonderful co-host, Maria. Maria, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role on the podcast?
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria. I'm excited to be here to help you learn English and share some tips on building self-confidence. I've been teaching English for several years, and I'm passionate about helping learners reach their full potential.
Great. Let's get started with our first segment, where we'll dive into understanding self-confidence and why it's so important.
Segment 1. Understanding self-confidence.
So, Maria, let's start by defining self-confidence. How would you describe it?
Self-confidence is essentially the belief in your own abilities and judgment. It's about trusting yourself to handle different situations and challenges.
Right. And why do you think self-confidence is so important, especially for English learners?
Well, self-confidence can significantly impact your ability to learn and use a new language. When you're confident, you're more likely to practice speaking, take risks, and make mistakes, all of which are essential for learning. Without confidence, you might hold back and miss out on valuable learning opportunities.
Exactly. Now let's talk about the difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. They often get confused, but they're not quite the same, are they?
No, they're not. Self-confidence is about your belief in your abilities, while self-esteem is about how you value yourself overall. You might be confident in your ability to speak English, but still struggle with self-esteem if you don't feel good about yourself in general.
That's a great distinction. Self-confidence is more specific to tasks and skills, whereas self-esteem is more about your overall sense of self-worth. Maria, do you have a personal story about a time when you struggled with or built your self-confidence?
Definitely. When I first started teaching English, I was really nervous and doubted my ability to help students effectively. I remember one particular class where I felt completely overwhelmed, but over time, by preparing well and getting feedback from students, I gradually built my confidence. It wasn't an overnight process, but each positive interaction helped.
I can relate to that. For me, it was when I started learning a new language. I was so afraid of making mistakes that I hardly spoke at all. But then I realized that mistakes are part of the learning process. By pushing myself to practice and not be afraid of errors, my confidence grew. Now, I embrace the challenges as opportunities to improve.
That's such an important point, Alex. Confidence comes with practice and persistence. The more you put yourself out there, the more confident you become.
Absolutely. Now that we've discussed what self-confidence is and why it's important, let's move on to some practical tips and techniques for building self-confidence. Stay tuned.
Segment 2. Tips and techniques for building self-confidence.
All right. Now let's dive into some practical tips for building self-confidence. Maria, what are some techniques you recommend?
One of the most effective techniques is using positive affirmations. This means regularly telling yourself positive statements like, "I am capable," "I can do this," or "I am improving every day." It might feel a bit strange at first, but it can really help shift your mindset.
Absolutely. Another great technique is setting and achieving small goals. Start with something manageable, like speaking a few sentences in English every day. As you achieve these small goals, your confidence will naturally build.
And don't forget about self-care. Taking care of your physical and mental health can greatly impact your confidence levels. Make sure you're getting enough rest, eating well, and taking time to relax and recharge.
Role-playing scenarios.
Let's illustrate these tips with some role-playing scenarios.
Scenario 1. Overcoming a fear.
Maria, imagine you're afraid of public speaking. How would you approach it?
Okay. First, I would start with positive affirmations like, I can speak confidently in front of others. Then, I'd set a small goal, such as speaking in front of a mirror or to a small group of friends. Gradually, I'd increase the audience size as I become more comfortable. I'd also practice deep breathing techniques to stay calm.
Great steps. Now, scenario 2. Receiving and giving constructive feedback. I'll play the role of a colleague giving you feedback. Maria, I think your presentation was really informative, but it could be even better if you slowed down a bit and used more visuals.
Thank you for the feedback, Alex. I'll definitely work on that. Do you have any specific suggestions for improving my visuals?
Sure. You could use charts and images to make your points clearer. And remember, receiving feedback is a way to grow, not a criticism of your abilities.
Exactly. And when giving feedback, it's important to be supportive and constructive, focusing on how someone can improve rather than just pointing out mistakes.
Great advice. Now, scenario 3. Handling failure and using it as a stepping stone. Maria, let's say you didn't do well on an English test. How would you handle it?
First, I would acknowledge my feelings. It's okay to feel disappointed. Then, I'd reflect on what went wrong and identify areas for improvement. I'd set new goals to address those areas, like studying a specific grammar point or practicing more listening exercises. I'd remind myself that failure is part of the learning process and an opportunity to grow.
That's a fantastic approach. Remember, every failure is a lesson learned and a step towards success. Now that we've covered some practical tips and techniques, let's move on to discuss common mistakes people make when trying to build self-confidence and how to avoid them. Stay with us.
Segment 3. Common mistakes and how to avoid them.
Welcome back. Now let's talk about some common mistakes people make when trying to build self-confidence. Maria, what do you think is one of the biggest pitfalls?
One major mistake is negative self-talk. When people constantly criticize themselves or focus on their flaws, it undermines their confidence. For example, saying I'm terrible at speaking English instead of I'm still learning and improving every day can be really detrimental.
Absolutely. Another common mistake is comparing yourself to others. It's easy to look at someone else's progress and feel inadequate, but everyone's journey is different. Comparing yourself to others can make you feel like you're not good enough, which can be really damaging to your self-confidence.
Exactly. And another mistake is avoiding challenges because of a fear of failure. If you don't take risks or try new things, you miss out on opportunities to grow and build confidence.
So, how can we avoid these mistakes? Let's start with negative self-talk. One effective strategy is to challenge those negative thoughts. If you catch yourself thinking something like, "I'll never be good at this," try to counter it with a positive affirmation like, "I am capable and getting better every day."
That's a great tip. For comparing yourself to others, it's important to remember that everyone's path is unique. Focus on your own progress and set personal goals that are meaningful to you. Celebrate your own achievements, no matter how small they might seem.
Yes, and for avoiding challenges, start by taking small steps out of your comfort zone. Gradually increase the difficulty of the tasks you take on. Each small success will build your confidence and prepare you for bigger challenges.
Another helpful strategy is to surround yourself with supportive people. Engage with friends, family, or a community that encourages and uplifts you. Positive reinforcement from others can boost your confidence and help you stay motivated.
Lastly, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially when you make mistakes. Understand that everyone has setbacks and that these are opportunities to learn and grow.
Remember, building self-confidence is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and practice.
Great insights, Maria. Now let's move on to our questions and answers session, where we'll answer some pre-submitted questions from our listeners about building self-confidence. Stay tuned.
Segment 4. Questions and answers session.
Welcome back to the English Hustle. Now it's time for our Q&A session where we answer your pre-submitted questions about building self-confidence. Maria, what's our first question?
Our first question comes from Sarah. She asks, "What should I do if I feel nervous about speaking English in front of others?"
Great question, Sarah. Feeling nervous is completely normal. One effective strategy is to practice speaking in a safe environment first, like with friends or in front of a mirror. Gradually expose yourself to larger audiences. Remember to use positive affirmations and focus on the progress you're making, not on perfection.
Another tip is to prepare thoroughly. If you know what you're going to talk about, you'll feel more confident. Also, remember that making mistakes is part of learning. Most people will be supportive and understanding.
Next, we have a question from John. He asks, "How can I stay confident when I make a mistake?"
Excellent question, John. The key is to reframe how you view mistakes. Instead of seeing them as failures, see them as learning opportunities. Everyone makes mistakes, and they are a natural part of the learning process. When you make a mistake, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on.
Also, try to focus on the things you did well. Don't let one mistake overshadow your overall progress. Practice self-compassion and remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes.
Our next question is from Ahmed. He asks, "How can I build self-confidence if I have low self-esteem?"
Building self-confidence and self-esteem often go hand in hand. Start by identifying your strengths and focusing on them. Set small, achievable goals and celebrate your successes. Positive affirmations can also help boost your self-esteem.
Engaging in activities that you enjoy and are good at can also improve your self-esteem. Surround yourself with positive influences who support and uplift you. Remember, building self-esteem takes time, so be patient with yourself.
Great advice, Maria. Our final question comes from Emma. She asks, "Can meditation help with building self-confidence?"
Absolutely, Emma. Meditation can be a powerful tool for building self-confidence. It helps you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, reducing anxiety and stress. Through meditation, you can learn to focus on the present moment and develop a more positive mindset.
Meditation also helps in cultivating self-compassion and mindfulness, which are important for building self-confidence. Even a few minutes of meditation each day can make a significant difference.
Thank you to everyone who submitted questions. We love hearing from you and helping you on your journey to building self-confidence.
Now, let's move on to our fun activity for today. A vocabulary quiz to test what we've learned. Stay tuned.
Segment 5. Fun activity.
Welcome back to the English Hustle. For our final segment today, we have a fun and interactive confidence-boosting challenge. Maria, are you ready?
Absolutely, Alex. Let's do this. How about we start with a positive affirmation? I'll go first. One affirmation I like to use is, I am capable and confident in everything I do. Now, it's your turn.
That's a great one, Maria. Mine is, I believe in myself and my abilities. These affirmations might seem simple, but they can have a powerful impact on our mindset and confidence.
Definitely. Now, let's share a recent achievement that boosted our confidence. Alex, you go first.
Sure. Recently, I gave a presentation in English to a group of colleagues. It was nerve-wracking, but I prepared thoroughly and it went really well. The positive feedback I received boosted my confidence significantly.
That's fantastic, Alex. For me, it was starting a new fitness routine and sticking to it for a month. Seeing my progress and how it positively affected my health made me feel really accomplished and confident.
Those are great examples, Maria. Now, we want to encourage our listeners to participate in this challenge. Think of a positive affirmation you can use daily or reflect on a recent achievement that made you feel confident.
Yes, and we would love to hear your stories. Share your affirmations and achievements with us on social media or through our website. Your stories can inspire others to build their own confidence.
Building self-confidence is a journey, and sharing our experiences helps us grow together. So don't hesitate to share your confidence-boosting stories with us.
Absolutely. Let's support each other on this journey. Thank you for participating in our fun activity today.
And that wraps up our confidence-boosting challenge. Now, let's move on to our conclusion and recap today's episode. Stay tuned.
Conclusion.
As we come to the end of today's episode on building self-confidence, let's recap what we've learned. We started by understanding what self-confidence is and why it's important in our lives. We discussed practical tips and techniques for boosting self-confidence, such as using positive affirmations and embracing challenges. We also talked about common mistakes to avoid and how to overcome them. Finally, we engaged in a confidence-boosting challenge to encourage each other and our listeners.
I want to extend a big thank you to Alex for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. Your stories and advice have been truly inspiring.
Thank you, Maria, and I'd like to thank our listeners as well. Your support and engagement mean the world to us.
Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. Your time and attention are invaluable, and we hope you've gained some valuable insights and tips on building self-confidence.
Before we sign off, we encourage you to subscribe to the English Hustle podcast if you haven't already. Leave us a review to let us know your thoughts and suggestions. And don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and interact with our community.
In our next episode, we'll be diving into a fascinating topic: effective communication skills. Whether you're learning English or looking to enhance your communication abilities, this episode will have something for everyone. Stay tuned.
That's all for today. Thank you again for joining us on the English Hustle. Until next time, stay confident and keep hustling.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.